All right, guys. So I apologize that I was not able to share this with you. I know that we read all of the text, so I'm just going to go back in and highlight and kind of discuss why this evidence shows that he's a hero or that he's not a hero. So we read the first couple pages. There was no textual evidence on the first 2 pages. However, on the 3rd page, there was evidence. So in paragraph 9, we talked about how he ordered the crew to leave. Okay, so I highlighted that in green to show that this is showing that he's a hero. And we talked about how this shows his concern for his crew's safety. All right, the next piece of evidence that we highlighted was in paragraph 10, and that was showing us that he was not a hero. They shivered in their thin coats, which often froze solid. So here we discussed how even though he asked his crew to leave or ordered his crew to leave, he kind of put them in harm's way. And so now his crew members, their lives are still in danger. So putting the crew's lives in danger. The next piece of evidence that we talked about was how Shackleton bravely set out again with 5 of his strongest men. They sailed and rowed 800 miles in a tiny boat. They battled high waves, winds, and severe thirst. So in this piece of evidence, we can see he's a hero. He's showing his crew the way, and he's showing leadership. Okay? And they're fighting through these high waves, the winds, and severe thirst. So it's proving that he's heroic because he's going out again, there's the word again, and keeping his crew in mind that he wants to save them. So leadership, fighting through dangers. He's persistent. All right, and then the end of that article are just a couple other pieces of evidence. At the end of paragraph 11, we talked about how his crew members, those 5 crew members he took again with him, they almost died climbing jagged peaks. So this is showing us again that he is putting his crew members' lives at risk. So it's almost like he's taking too many risks. The crew's lives are at stake. And in that same paragraph, we see that he continues to think of his men that are stuck on Elephant Island, and that's what keeps him going. So his crew members' safety is most important. They were rescued. All 28 members of the Endurance expedition arrived home safely. And if you're a leader, you've got to keep going. So in all of that evidence, we see he's heroic. He does save his crew. None of the crew members died. All of them are still alive. So because of his actions, his crew was saved. Because of his actions, all crew survived. Okay, so in this article, we see a lot of textual evidence that supports that he's a hero. We do see some evidence that supports that he is not a hero. So now I'm going to do the first 2 paragraphs of the memoir, and then that's it, because that's all that I did when I stayed after school with the few students that worked with me on these 2 paragraphs. However, remember that you only need one piece of evidence from the article and one piece of evidence from the memoir. So I'm going to give you a couple from here, and you are more than welcome to continue reading the memoir and looking for other evidence. So this memoir is an excerpt. That means it's a part of the memoir. And he's making his fourth attempt to save the rest of his crew. So remember, his crew are stuck on Elephant Island, and he's not going back once, not twice, not 3 times. This is the 4th time. The weather was showing some signs of improvement, and I begged the Chilean government to let me have the Yelcho for the last attempt to reach the island. She was a small steel-built steamer, quite unsuitable for work in the pack. Remember, the pack is the ice in the ocean. But I promised that I would not touch the ice. The government was willing to give me another chance, and on August 25th, I started south on the 4th attempt at relief. So when I was working after school with a handful of students, we found 2 pieces of evidence that support that he is a hero. So in this sentence, he's begging the Chilean government. So usually when you beg someone, it means that you really want whatever it is that they have. So he's asking the government, I want to go and take this boat and try and save my crew one last time. This is it. And we can infer, that means we can make a good guess, that the Chilean government is probably like, you know what? That's probably not a good idea. This is your 4th time going, and we don't think you're gonna make it. So the Chilean government does not want to let him have it, and he's begging. He's saying, please, please, can I take the boat and try and save my crew? So that is showing us that others don't think it's a good idea. But he is still fighting for his sailors. Okay. The other piece of evidence that we found was I started south on the 4th attempt. So like I said at the beginning, this is not his first time going back or his second time. This is his 4th time. So he is, he's not giving up. He's on another attempt. Okay. And then the next paragraph. This time Providence favored us. The little steamer made a quick run down in comparatively fine weather, and I found as we neared Elephant Island that the ice was open. A southerly gale, that means like a wind is coming, had sent it northward temporarily, and the Yelcho had her chance to slip through. We approached the island in a thick fog. I did not dare to wait for this to clear, and at 10 a.m. on August 30th, we passed some stranded bergs. That's referring to icebergs. Then we saw the sea breaking on a reef, and I knew that we were just outside the island. So in this paragraph, what I discussed with the students after school is that there is a piece of evidence that shows both him being heroic, but at the same time, you could argue that he's not heroic. So I'm going to highlight that in 2 colors. So if we're saying that he is heroic, we might say that he's fearless. He sees that there's thick fog, but he's not going to wait. He's going to keep going to look for his men. So he's fearless, and he's driven to save his crew. So that would be if he is heroic. I'm going to put that as green. If we want to say that this is not being heroic, we might say that, you know what, there's a ton of fog here. He probably should not continue because you can't see where you're going. He's being reckless, and he might end up being the person that needs to be rescued. So he can't see. He's taking a risk. He is reckless and might be in need of saving himself. Because if he hits an iceberg, We don't know what's going to happen to that boat he's on. And then if he needs rescuing, the rest of his crew on Elephant Island are sure as heck not going to be rescued. Okay? So here you have a couple pieces of evidence that prove that he is heroic, and we have one piece of evidence from the memoir that is showing that he is not heroic. And if you want to go ahead and look at the rest of this, I believe I highlighted one more piece of evidence that shows that he is heroic. But I'm hoping that this will help you when you're writing your essay.